Hello and welcome back. I hope you're all having fun while learning to improve at sim racing. I definitely know I am. We are still at Summit Point Jefferson. I got my lap times pretty consistently in the 54s in practice, and now I'm ready to put to the test what we've learned previously. Let's see how we do in the first race. In the qualifying for my first race, the first lap went pretty okay with a lap time of 54.8, getting beaten by my fellow Dutchie Albert Schuurman by just 1/100th of a second. But in the second lap of qualifying, I managed to sneak just beneath that and beat him by 1/10 of a second, stealing the pole position away from him. Feels extra good because he's also Dutch for some reason. I wonder if he feels the same way. Right, you just saw me looking out of the window because I had another good start and I couldn't believe that they were so far away from me already. Thought he might be on the left of me, so I kind of peeked out of the window. And no one's there. It was a good start indeed. I seem to keep my right foot under decent control as I make the most out of the cold tires. I'm pushing myself an extra bit at this point because I want to pull a gap between the number 2 car as soon as possible so that I can take my mind off him and focus on driving clean and consistent lines. That would be the most ideal situation to be in. Now for those of you wondering, I'm using a Logitech G29 steering wheel. It's pretty okay, but I would love to get a better one. I bought this one secondhand and it feels like it's been used quite intensively. I've played Gran Turismo a few weeks back, and when I played a certain race in which you had to drive a car with high downforce around Circuit de la Sarthe, going over 300 kilometers an hour, the steering wheel began rattling like crazy over the bumps in the road, and I think the gear mechanism took a bit of damage during that. It feels like it has a slight bit of play in it, and it seems like the little nuances in the road disappear in that millimeter of play. And look in the mirror now. As you can see, Albert, he has a spin and he causes a huge crash, which we're going to look at later. But out of the ashes comes Hayden Bell, a very quick guy who manages to catch up to me quite quickly. So I felt pressure from him coming now. And as we come into lap number 6, I make a mistake on the downshift and I spin the car almost completely. Luckily I save it, but it's quite an easy overtake for Hayden this time. Now, looking back at this mistake and getting overtaken, this was probably the first time in iRacing that I kept my emotions fully under control after such a rookie mistake. Not even a sigh on the mic. I realized at that point that the damage was done, and at the moment I lost control of the car. You can't turn back time, you can only focus on the laps that are still ahead of you. So instead of chasing him like a hooligan filled with rage, this time the first priority was to regain my cool. In the previous race that cost me 3 laps, now it was just a matter of a few corners, luckily. Having your emotions under control is an important skill in life, and racing can help practice that. Heck, maybe the little Mazda is going to make Zen Masters out of us all. Okay, so right now I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? He's not showing any signs of making mistakes, there are no corners where I am a lot quicker than him. So now what? We are at lap 6 going into lap 7, so there's still plenty of time left. Luckily I didn't have to worry about pressure from behind, as the number 3 car is a long way back. So I'm just gonna stick to him as close as possible, hopefully triggering some mistakes in him. Then when I see a chance, I'll be ready to strike. Looking at the lap time, I have the feeling that even though it feels like he has the same pace, he's still a bit slower overall. That means that somewhere he's losing time. As I go through this in my mind, I come to the conclusion that the best place to make a move would be the last corner before the start finish. I need to outbrake him there. So as we quickly skip 2 laps, we can see him going wide for the first time, and immediately I try to go for it. Unfortunately, however, because of the oncoming corners, I need to back off again if I don't want to set myself up terribly for the next corner. Then skipping another lap, coming out of the S's, I had a much better exit than Hayden, putting myself directly on his bumper. He goes defensive, and even though I get a much better entry into the corner, it doesn't help me much, as the speed that I'm carrying is eventually blocked off by him as I exit the corner. Well played, Mr. Bell, well played. So even still, I'm getting a little bit of time on him again, as I divert from the racing line to set myself up for a possible move. And just as he seemed to go a little wide and open up an opportunity, my poor trail braking skills made me trail brake right into his ass. That felt a little dumb after having patiently waited almost 5 laps, and that was certainly not how I wanted to get my position back. So as we now skip to lap number 16, you can see the one and only opportunity that I had. after that incident. So eventually it turned out to become second place for me. Still very nice, having a gap of 13 seconds to the guy behind me. Still a very nice performance, but yeah, you know, if you know what could have been, it's always a bit sour. But let's not dwell too long on that. Let's look ahead as we jump directly into the next race, which was actually quite boring. Yeah, I'm just going to show a few outtakes of them. I was put in the third split with a strength of field of 16:29. I think that's the highest I've managed to get in 2 months I've been playing iRacing. With a lap time of 54.7, I got a second place on the grid, and that's also how the race ended. The guy in front was very consistent. I managed to be very consistent as well, apart from maybe 4 or 5 little mistakes where I went a little wide, which increased the gap to Kanata Ando in front of me a little each time. The guy behind me had a similar pace as me, as he followed me at a distance of about a second for the entire race. Nobody got into attacking distance of each other, but all in all this was still a very important race to me, as I put the things that we learned previously into practice, with good results. The I rating went up to 1725. I was happy, I was proud, and registered for the next race that was about to start. So being in the fastest lobby that I've ever been in was pretty scary. Starting a lap time of 54.8 and only getting P7 didn't really calm me down either. This was about to get serious, and I don't know if I was completely ready for that at that point. The good start on the number 3 car. See if we can get past him already. Seems like we can. But we got the outside line now. Tires are still cold. Don't want to be too rushy on the gas. Got to give back our position to the number 3 car. Back in P7. Our way's blocked off. Can't really do much at this point. As the number 3 car gets a good exit out of that corner and manages to put it on the side of the number 1 car. So they go side by side into the balls in corner. They both come out unharmed. So at this point I'm just hoping that they're going to knock each other off the track. And that I can just drive past them. See a little smoke, probably someone had a little trouble with the downshift. A little skid. As we manage to stay right on their tail, going into lap number 2. I can hear myself thinking, do I need to make a move there? In hindsight, I should have probably just stuck my nose a little bit up there. That might have been better. As we come out of the S's and the number 1 car, he spins out. And I jolt a little myself. There's still some traces of that target fixation left, but all in all, gain a position there as the green car is poking his nose now. He puts a little pressure, but that is what it is. He remains at that distance for 12 laps, as we're now in lap 14. Managed to stay pretty consistent up to this far, as I go a little bit into the grass, and number 12 car makes a move on us, gets the inside line, and I miss my braking point a little bit. Tires are a bit worn, and I go off and lose 3 positions instead of 1. Yeah, I feel pretty shitty at that point. Don't know how zen I am right there, but still I managed to keep my focus and stay on their tail as they're battling each other a little bit now. That could mean good for me. You can already see that the guy in front, he's driving a little bit off into the distance, so I don't need to make sure that I don't stick too long around here. I need to get past them as soon as possible. So I'm thinking of making a move, divert a little of my line here. Don't achieve much with that, but you can see that I'm really pushing, drifting the car out of the corner. That does lose little time, as they are now opening up the gap between me. So as Gillian Solomon and Marek Hansky are battling while going into the last corner, I try to profit from that, but it seemed that I totally forgot how to take that corner. I'm definitely not zen at that point, as even a simple upshift seems to become a challenge. As we're going into lap 16, the pressure starts to build up even more. Keeping the gap tight is not much of an issue, but making a clean overtake is far more difficult. Still, there's always the possibility that one of them is going to make a mistake. Now, on a side note, about 2 weeks ago I bought the Ferrari 488 in iRacing, but I am so not ready for that yet. I don't know if it's the play in the steering wheel which I mentioned, but I can barely drive a lap in that car without spinning. The car obviously has enormous grip, but I have a lot of trouble feeling where that grip ends. As soon as I find out how to handle the car, I will start making videos about it. I think it will be a nice addition to the iRacing Beginner series in a few episodes' time. So as we now come up to the last corner again, I go wide again and hit the dirt again. Not good. Almost tipped the car on its side. Yeah, not great. Position 8th. So that's also the way I bring it across the finish line, but someone's in the pit lane, so eventually I get P7. And looking back on it, given the high strength of field of 1811 and losing only 4 iRating points, this wasn't that bad of a result. Apart from making the same stupid mistakes twice in a row, I like to believe I did pretty well back there. I also managed to set a new personal record for this track at 54.350. So all in all, I've gained a lot of experience. I hope you found this helpful as well. Leave a like and comment if you did. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. It really helps the channel out, by the way, so thank you for that. Also cheers to Marek. Yes, even the races where I screw up can end up on YouTube. If I manage to learn something from it, that is. Using the keyboard with the steering wheel right in front of it is something I also still need to learn. As we go into the crash wheel, we can see Albert Schumann. He's having a little spin. Well, not a little spin, but a huge crash. As he sets in motion all kinds of accidents. Another guy. That's the last of it. Alright, as we go into the next corner. Yeah, a bit of a rude overtaking attempt. But this one slightly even more. Yeah, that's pretty sad. Alright, here we see the number 10 car. He's ditching a little bit into the dirt and spinning off the track. As we have another number 10 car from another race. Losing focus, losing grip, and losing its positions. Alright there folks, thank you very much for watching. See you all in the next video. Cheers.